What's up? Today I'm going to be a little more, a little less entertaining and a little more thoughtful. I'm going to talk about philosophy and why it's in shambles, why it's been ripped to shreds and basically co-opted. Um, it's basically been turned into a weapon by the status quo. Why? What do I mean? Well, philosophy is the basis of critical thinking, logic, and reason. It's it's the way that we come to understand how to think about thinking, and the way that we come to understand how to use logic and reason to make choices and decisions. And we completely left that entire subject out of our curriculum. You have to go to basically an institution um, beyond standard schooling to even begin to learn about how to use logic and reason. That's um, that's not only sad, but it's dangerous because the effect of that is um, only the people who stumble into it during college or elsewhere, who stumble into the ability to use logic and reason, um, they're the only people who have it. And a lot of people are taught philosophy and don't even know that what they're thinking and living their life based on is philosophy. And a lot of them are taught philosophy that is useful for manipulating people. But a lot of people don't know that that philosophy exists. So they simply become manipulated. The status quo, if you will, is um, not centered around helping people understand how to make um, good decisions. Good decisions. That's what philosophy is for. To teach you how to make good decisions. All right. Um, and it's an entire subject, and it takes your entire life to study it. Because it's a lifelong process. And so you should be equipped early with the ability to utilize logic and reason to come to reasonable conclusions about life. It should start, like I said, early. It should be a K through 12 study course. K through 12 world philosophy, logic, and reason courses. It should be a course that everybody should learn because everybody needs to understand how to logically and reasonably make decisions. I mean, there are a million reasons. There are a million reasons. Okay. Why that's important. But like I said, it goes against the status quo. Uh, the people who have the most power don't want to relinquish that power. They don't want a fair world where everybody is uh, quite free and capable of making their own decisions without having to rely on people who have the power. That's the way that works. So they don't want everybody to be thinking critically and logically and trying to help each other out and succeed. Because if we did that, then we would be in competition for freedom. And if there's not an imbalance of power, the people who currently have the power feel like they can't be free because for some reason they feel like for them to be considered free, you have to be considered unfree. You have to be considered incapable of free thought, having your own thoughts, having your own logical conclusions. That's the only way, that's the way that I can control you, is if you don't have the ability to make logical conclusions. If you can't think about what's going on, and I can, then I'm in charge of what's happening. Does that make sense? So there's a reason that philosophy, world philosophy, logic, and reason have been left out of the curriculum. They don't want us to think critically. They want to give us subjects that they want us to focus on, and then they want us to not ask questions, focus on those subjects, solve the equations, report the equations back to the people with power, and essentially give them the philosophical decisions about our society. Philosophy, logic, and reason have been co-opted. They've been left out intentionally, and they are used against the populace. There are philosophies that are endorsed, that are made popular, that are intentionally plastered, that are intentionally people to consider. And people consider them, and they don't consider anything besides them, or outside of them, or beyond them, because they are not taught how to consider beyond the philosophy that they are presenting. God is not dead. One, everybody loves to say, God is dead. God is not dead. It doesn't make any sense. God is the way that the ancient people used to identify nature and reality. Nature and reality, the laws of physics, the way the world works, that still exists. The universe still exists, and the motion of the universe still exists. Time didn't just go away. Space didn't just go away, and the way things operate and function didn't just go away. That's what God is about. It didn't die. We're trying to kill it in our minds, which doesn't make any sense because it's never going to go away. The natural course of the universe is going to continue until the universe disappears. And then there might be more universes. We don't know. Okay? And that concept isn't going to just die. It's going to continue. The whole time we are here, it was continuing the whole time we got here, and it's going to continue when we leave. One day, unless everything's solipsistic, in which case it doesn't really matter, because you're going to be in this reality regardless. Yeah, no, God isn't dead. We changed the way we talked about God. Now we say the laws of physics, and we say, the laws of formal logic and mathematics. But that's going to change too. We're going to change the way we look at that too. It's going to be more to understand than the buck doesn't stop at physics. There's more to understand. And people don't realize that. There's all kinds of shit beyond the material. Inside the imagination, inside creativity, inside novelty, and in subjective experience. You're never going to understand everything. We're all having different experiences. You can't live inside my mind and everybody's mind and have all of their experiences at the same time. It's not happening. So, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to say that there's nothing valuable or meaningful or significant happening beyond yourself and beyond human nature. There's clearly all kinds of shit happening that humans have no control over. Can you make something happen in reality? Yeah, sure, maybe, a little bit, but you're not going to just make pigs fly. The only thing that could do that is the universe itself. If the universe was a type of universe that could spontaneously make pigs fly, then that's what would happen. But it's not that type of universe right now. It's not what's happening. It's not that confusing. There's objective stuff happening in reality that is going to continue to happen. You throw a ball in the air, it will fall to the ground every time until gravity ceases to exist. You can rely on it. You can rely on the trajectory of nature. You can rely on the river flowing the direction that it flows until it flows another direction, or unless it flows another direction. There's some continuation going on, So it's not just subjective and it's not just objective. There is something like God, like the flow of the universe, like nature, like the shit that's out of your control. That exists, okay? And there is also like your own view and your own viewpoint, your own perspective, and your own way of looking at that. That also exists. And it doesn't mean either of them has all the facts, okay? And it doesn't mean that the humans have all the facts. We haven't fucking solved anything. We've solved next to nothing. We have a little bit of information that allows us to do some interesting engineering, basically. And we've hardly solved anything. That's the fucking truth. And if you spent time with logic and you asked enough questions and you understood that philosophy is about asking the questions, continuing to ask the questions, not just saying, oh, okay, that's the truth. Gravity is a force and that's it. And, material objects are the only thing that exist, and the mental world is not. The mental world is not mental. It's not something interesting or observable outside of physics. It's just neurochemistry. So stop right there. And who cares? Who cares if electrons are superposition and all that shit? Don't ask about it. Just keep doing the equations, and then send the equations to the guy with money so he can decide what to do with them and what they mean. Because he has people who are sitting around thinking about those questions while you're just ignoring them and solving the equations. Morality is objective and subjective. There are levels to this shit. Morality is objective and subjective, okay? And it depends on the circumstance. It depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about your individual opinion, yes, your individual moral opinion has a lot of subjectivity in it because you are the subject experiencing it. But you're also going to get a lot of your morality from observing reality and interacting with it. So it's also fucking objective. Morality is both. And it varies how much your personal morality influences the situation in comparison to the other people involved in the situation. If you're talking about the entire world, the final morality is the red button that blows everybody up. Then we're done making decisions. That's the last moral decision. That's the final worldly moral decision. Everybody dies. There's no conflicting. There's an individual perspective of morality. There are niche group perspectives of morality. Like, you and a couple of buddies believe some shit and that's the way you live. There are community perspectives of reality, like going to church, everybody at church trying to basically believe the same thing and agree on the same ethics. There's social morality, like at the size of society, entire societies, countries agree. And then there's worldly morality. We don't press the red button. If we do, we die. That's it. It's not that complicated. There's subjective components and objective components of morality. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing that you need to understand about change and your part in it. There are things that you can change. There are things that you cannot change. You're not just an individual in control of all of reality. I can't believe I have to say this. There are other people here on this planet. They have created meaning. It's our duty to understand it. And it's our responsibility to abide by it to the best of our... If you don't abide by the moralities, by the objective moralities, depending on the circumstance, on the objective moralities that we have put forth, you will go to jail. And then will you be saying in jail, oh, morality is totally subjective. It's all based on what I think. No, because your ass is in jail. It's obviously not based on only what you think. It's also based on what the fucking judge thinks. It's not just, morality is not just subjective. You can have subjective opinions, but there's somebody else that has that same opinion. It's not going to be perfectly aligned because no two people are exactly the same, but you're going to try. A lot of people are going to try, and they're going to succeed at making a cohesive system for which we do not self-destruct. It's required. You are not in charge of your life entirely. You are never going to be entirely free to do whatever the fuck you want. Get rid of that. The meaning of life is also not subjective or objective. It's both. The meaning of life is not whatever the fuck you think it is. The meaning of life involves all the shit around you that's already happening. How is that? So how can you not understand that? How do you not understand the meaning of your life also involves the shit that you cannot change? Like, the meaning of your life involves the fact that you can't magically make pigs fly. You're not, it just doesn't happen. The meaning, so there's going to be other meaning that's already there. One of the meanings that's already there is that we don't magically make pigs fly. You might do it in your dreams and shit, but here, it doesn't happen. There's objective fucking meaning taking place based on objective circumstances that we cannot change. Yeah, could we evolve to potentially become something that can make pigs fly magically? Maybe. Wait, is that the current circumstance? No. So, it is morality relativistic based on what universe you're in? Sure, but and maybe all the universes have some basic principles that make them all mean the same thing. Because if you're talking about different universes, you're still talking about universes. The meaning of that is inherent in what they are. Even if you have infinite universes and they're all fucking different, they all share the commonality of being universes. The meaning of that doesn't go away just because you don't think it's there. You don't get to just fucking tell yourself that the meaning of life is whatever you think it is, because it's not. The meaning of life involves us. It involves the entire world. It involves the whole universe and everything and anything outside of that. That's where the meaning is. Now, can you observe that and make some deductions about it and come up with some cool thoughts about it? Sure. And you can you maybe like harness meaning and turn it into something that you can be passionate about? Fucking sure. But that doesn't mean that you are in charge of that shit. It doesn't mean that you're in charge of the entire world. And it leads into the same thing with, it's the exact same problem. People don't understand what they control, what they don't control, and how to understand the difference. They don't get it. It's the same thing with free will and determinism. You will never be completely free. Complete freedom is impossible unless you are infinite. You are not infinite. You will never be infinite. You will never be completely free. You don't have free will. You have will power. You have some power to work within a determined system. A system where when you throw a ball up, it goes to the ground. Life fucking happens the way that nature makes it happen. That system, you are in that system, and you have some ability to work within it. You are not free. You do not have free will to do whatever you want. You can try, but the system will kick your ass. That's the way that works. We can try to fucking to take over the planet and destroy all of the nature and destroy the planet, but it's going to kick our ass. The sun will destroy us. Our inability to find water will destroy us. It will respond. Nature responds to the way that we interact with it. It's not just you on this planet. Please understand this. People do not get it because they did not study philosophy. They did not study philosophy. And narcissistic, self-absorbed, unobservant philosophy was endorsed. We were told by Friedrich Nietzsche that God is dead and meaning is based on your own self. And they plastered it everywhere. And all of our buddies said it. And they put it in all of the popular songs. It's all based on you. That's not fucking true. Somebody please acknowledge this. You live on a planet with other people. There are other people here before you got here. They're gonna be here when you leave. The meaning of life is a continuous dialogue that you're taking part in. It's not something you fucking make up. You are not the main character. You're not the main character of life. We are all fucking here. I am conscious, and I am alive, and I am living, and I matter. You are conscious, you are alive, and you are living, and you matter. And whether I can fucking prove that infinitely or not, to pretend that it doesn't matter, to pretend that you much as I appreciate mine, is to pretend that you don't fucking matter at all, and the only thing that matters is me, is absolute stupidity. It really is the pinnacle of stupidity, because you have no concept of the reality that you're living in. There are deterministic factors in the world, and there is willpower, there is the ability to see goals and use system 2 thinking to come up with a plan that may or may not fucking work. And that plan is going to have to include those deterministic factors. If it doesn't include those deterministic factors, you're making up an imaginary plan. Because you're working in a deterministic world with some influence. And man, this shit stresses me out, because it should have already happened. It should have already been taught. We shouldn't just be telling each other random dumb philosophy without thinking about it, without the ability to think about it. Like Plato's rolling in his grave because we haven't taught anybody philosophy. They don't have any relevance of who and what they are. People don't know who and what they are. They have no realization of the relevance of their circumstances. They don't understand the open questions of reality. They don't have the humility to admit that they might not have it all figured out, because they weren't taught that you always have more questions. There are always more questions. That's what philosophy does. It teaches you that there are always more questions. There's always more critical thought to be had. You do not have the final answer on metaphysics and ontology. K through 12 world philosophy, logic, and reason courses. I can't even get into the rest of the subjects right now. This shit is like so annoying. It makes me just want to rant, and I don't know what to do about it, because it's a catch-22. People don't know they need it. People don't have the logic to understand that they need logic. It's crazy. It's mind-blowing. It's a mind-blowing circumstance.